We got some sad news for you guys. EA turned down another Battlefront 3 Star Wars game. Kathleen Kennedy teases the return of the sequels in some capacity. It looks like we have some more details on everyone's favorite show, the Ahsoka Tano series. All that and more here on Chatooine. Well, welcome back to Chatooine, everyone. I'm your host, Star Wars Only, joined with Darth Daddy Lunga and Palpamemes. Our friend Goldman is out because it is Thanksgiving week, so hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. Happy Turkey Day. I think everyone pretty much celebrates Thanksgiving. I would hope so. I mean, a day to eat is a day to live, in my opinion. I
eat 2 or 3 times a day.
Oh God, I eat probably 5 or 6 if I can manage it and if I have time to do it. But that's probably the reason I'm broke. But if anyone's new here on Chatooine, we talk about the news, topics, debates, and simply chat about Star Wars. We're also on Spotify for any podcast listeners. But if you're watching the show live, please leave a like, leave a comment in the stream so we can engage with you all. Super chat questions will be guaranteed an answer, and we only give the best answers, even if they are wrong. It's been kind of fun talking about Star Wars these past 2 weeks. It seems like even if the news isn't great, we are getting a significant amount of news, and some small, some big, and just some good topics going around in general. To me, at least, I always like starting off with like one of the bigger topics for the show. It's the news about Battlefront 3 that EA has seemingly turned down, which I think this is like the second time they've done this, because if you remember, I think back when they canceled the Star Wars Ragtag game, if anyone remembers that, they were talking about doing a like open world Star Wars game. They turned that down, and shortly after, Kotaku came out with another article saying that like they had a very smaller scale Battlefront game that was going to serve as Battlefront 3 that EA turned down. But this news comes from a guy named Tom Henderson on Twitter, and I have no idea who this guy is, but everyone's taking his credibility quite significantly, and he says that Battlefront 3 was a pitch title from DICE, but ultimately the title was shot down by EA due to licensing cost. And this quote says, it got turned down because it takes 20% more sales to make the same money, said one past developer. The thread goes on to say, although it currently seems that DICE is not working on Battlefront 3 and instead another Battlefield game, there are currently 2 Star Wars titles in development under EA. It appears as those titles are more story-driven single-player games instead of multiplayer, since several key developers that worked on the Battlefield or Battlefront series have since left the DICE studio in the past year, including the likes of Battlefront 2's creative director Dennis Ranval. I don't know how to say his name. Apologize if I'm getting it wrong. Corm game developer designer Kristen. I'm not going to say these people's names. Just people are leaving EA and DICE.
I know them. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're probably closer to these people than I ever will be. And so he goes on to say that it would indicate that Battlefront 3 is very unlikely. And he says, I have seen the build file for DICE's next title in October, currently dubbed Dev Next, which indicates the title is Past Gate Zero. No idea what this has to do with anything that we're talking about today. Last thing he said was also said it should also be said that development can change at any given time and the next title starts development. But if Battlefront 3 ever gets greenlit and starts development for whatever reason, I'll break the news. And I think one of the developers, didn't they come out and say something like, hey, we pitched a Mustafar thing, we pitched Asajj Ventress and Ahsoka in this game. It just seems disappointing.
Yes, so I'll jump in because for those who don't know, I started doing YouTube on another channel about 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe even, and that was all for Battlefront. And so I've been on the ins and outs of a lot of this stuff from the very beginning. So basically, I guess I'll answer your question to that Mustafar thing. It's not that it was pitched or not, because what I will say that I was happy with EA about is they virtually let DICE have complete creative freedom, and all they had to do is go through Lucasfilm on things that are added. However, with the Mustafar and the Ahsoka thing, it was simply they had things in the works for them. It's just they didn't have enough time to even develop them because, as we all know, when COVID hit, DICE had to shut down their studios and started working from home. And so basically EA said, let's do a fresh start. And they cut off Battlefield 5, I think it is, and Battlefront 2 support, and started from the very beginning with Battlefield 6 or whatever the new Battlefield game is, 2042 or whatever it is. So for those who aren't aware, that's kind of the story on why Battlefront got shut down.
What do you think about them saying that it's like due to the licensing issue? I
It
mean, the
pisses
fact
me
that
off.
they say it got turned down because it takes 20% more sales to make the same money. Is that them
What?
saying that in order for this third game to make profit, it has to do 20% better than the last one?
No, basically what that means is so this I don't know I don't know the exact numbers. Basically, they're comparing this to Battlefield, which is their flagship game, right? That's their IP. Say Battlefield makes $1 million, and once they hit $1 million, then they start making profit. Whereas Battlefront 2 would need to make 1.2 million or whatever that 20% more would be before they start making profit, because 20% of it does go back to Disney, Lucasfilm, or whatever that is. What pisses me off the most is why would you sign a deal for that if you're not going to even go through with making the games? You know, for beforehand that we need to make 20% more, and then everything will be back in our pockets, right? So why would you sign that if you're not going to be going through with that, if you don't agree with that sentiment?
I do have 2 points on this before I want to hand this over to Lunga to get his take on this stuff, because I know he doesn't care much about the video games, but I am curious on what he thinks about
But I
this.
have thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm curious what you think about EA in general and how they're handling this Battlefront stuff. The first point I want to make is that when it comes to like the 20% thing, I feel like one of the issues EA is having is that when you look at Battlefront 2, the sales weren't what they wanted it to be. It did really well. I'm more than confident that it did really well. It's just that leading up to the game, I think a lot of people, I mean, it's almost been 5 years at this point, but a lot of people don't remember or even appreciate how much backlash, and that's a word that we use a lot, but in general, how much backlash that game truly got. I mean, it was so intense that EA had calls from Disney saying, you got to fix this situation. So I think EA trying to say that, oh, we need to make 20% more sales than the last game is kind of them not really acknowledging the reason the last game didn't do so well. I don't think doing 20% more than Battlefront 2 is a hard thing to do. I mean, the first one I didn't really care for because it's only the original trilogy. The second one, I still don't understand why people like it, but I do believe that DICE could have made a very good third Battlefront game, especially if they had a lot of the creative freedom that Palpatine was saying they would have, and just in general, adding more content and making it more of a playable game. I think not having the loot box controversy going into a third game, and since it would be probably 5 years plus since the second one came out, I think the 20% more wouldn't be a hard number to catch. But then again, that depends on how much EA wants to fuck this up. And the second point I wanted to make is, Palpatine, you're talking about like don't sign this contract if you're worried about licensing fees and whatnot. The only issue with that is that whenever this deal was made, it was before the new CEO of EA came in, Andrew Wilson, and he, like, I think the previous CFO or the previous CEO made the deal with Lucasfilm and Disney to do an exclusivity deal with EA for 10 years. And then almost within that year, this new CEO came in and he hated the fact that they did a Star Wars deal because in his mind, he didn't want to license anything out to anybody. He wanted everything to be in-house and make it their own IP. That's why you have things like Anthem and Battlefield that they're always pushing so hard. And so I think EA has pretty much from the start had a bad approach to this, and it all starts at the head with Andrew Wilson. I think he had a horrible mentality about Star Wars, and I think just in general the EA developers are basically the big wigs over there. They really don't understand
The men in
Star
suit,
Wars, Star Wars fans. Yeah, pretty much the guys who aren't actually working on this stuff. But Lunga, what's your take on this? What do you have to say about EA's disaster?
Money's money. These are money people. That's what it is. It's money people. There is, I will say this, a lack of imaginative thinking at EA. They're looking at what can we make that has this brand that can make money, and that's all they think about, right? And they think about it the way they make conventional games and go on and go forth and go with it like that. And I think that's the issue. Now, I've never played Battlefront. I know of it. I downloaded it, but I just never really played it.
You never played 1 or 2?
No, I never played Battlefront.
What?
Yeah,
what?
I never
Come
did.
On.
Now, this is my question: Is it like an open world MMO? Is that how Battlefront is?
Not even remotely.
Did you ever play the classic Battlefront games?
Yeah, here's the thing.
I'm what you're seeing on screen is what it is, basically.
Come on, Lunga. Don't tell me to play the OG.
I may have played it like when it first came out and just don't remember it because it was not that memorable for me. I guess that could have been an issue. I don't know. I was deep into, because what year did Battlefront come out?
2018 or 18,
Well,
Battlefront 1?
17,
the,
17.
the very first one, all right, so like there's two for Battlefronts, but the first one from EA came in 2015. The second one from EA came in 2017. The first one from Lucasfilm or LucasArts,
Pandemic, yeah.
yeah, Pandemic was the first one to make it. I think that was like
Yeah.
2001 or something, and
No,
then
it
the
was
second
04.
one, oh four, no, I
Yeah.
thought the oh, you're right, Battlefront 2
'Cause I
came out in 05.
I was like, it came out a year after that, and it was basically the same game, whether people wanted to admit it or not. I love Battlefront 2, the older one. It was literally Battlefront 1, just with some extra stuff in it.
And it's so much better than
And I
the
love,
first
oh
one.
yeah,
The-
yeah,
the-
one of my favorite
The
games
first
of all
one's
time.
amazing too. Okay, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
second one
so-
came out in 2005.
Yeah, I conveniently has, and it has absolutely nothing to do with her. It's just how it lined up. When me and Marie started dating and we moved in together, my gaming just went down. I got into a lot of my crafting, all this other stuff, and I really didn't game anymore. And that was 2014. So the majority of my gaming, other than when I was a kid, as an adult, was all like between 2000 and 2010. I would say that decade was when I was really gaming a lot. And I was into World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy. I love those big open MMOs like that, you know, and that's the kind of stuff I would like. And that's what I really like to see in Star Wars. That I think will be fun. And here, get this. You want to know how they can make money? And it won't happen because Disney will probably not want to license it. They say, no, that's controversial. Listen, this is very simple. Set it after Rise of Skywalker, okay? Good amount of time, though, not immediate. Say 50, 100 years after Rise of Skywalker. And at this time, it's turmoil in the galaxy. You have the new empire that's trying to take control. You have not the Republic anymore because they realize Republic. How many times you done the Republic and it keeps failing? So now they have the Galactic Confederation. You have Sith have returned and they're not following the rule of two. And you have the Jedi, and then you have Mandalorians, and you have other factions. And you could pick a character, and then you have two schools of thought in a Jedi. You have the Rey Skywalker thought, and then you have the loyalists who believe in pre-Empire Jedi teachings, and you have you have two competing schools of Jedi. You could literally have sequel fans fighting OT or prequel fans as Jedi because they're two separate factions in the game. Do you know how much money that game would make?
That's an amazing idea, Lunga. But now we're not having to deal with EA. We're having to deal with Lucasfilm, who immediately are rolling in their graves right now. They're like he said what? More than one Jedi? More than one Sith? I'm not doing it. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
But you could make it non-canon. The whole thing with that game, make it a non-canon game.
I love the idea, but I think that fits to a whole different type of game. I know you're kind of asking how Battlefront plays. It's nothing like that at all.
Right. Well, that's why I asked, because I realized it wasn't.
Sorry. Just have to say that. I love the idea, though.
They haven't. I don't know. I feel like the new version of Battlefront 2, like at least for me, I know Palp memes. I think you like the new Battlefront game a lot. I do not really care for this game. I feel bad for not liking it because I see so many people like it's been growing on a lot of people. But man, for me, I feel like Longo would have this issue too. Like when you play the new one, it's kind of a generic action shooter game that really doesn't keep me engaged for like more than an hour. And when I look at like the original Battlefront 2 from 2005, there's just so much more content. The campaign is a little better. The options and characters that you had, and I mean, just in general, I feel like that game was more engaging. It had a lot more content to offer, and it's almost 10 years older. Well, it is 10 years older.
And people thought I was crazy because like I didn't like when I played Halo and Call of Duty. I never played the campaigns. I didn't care about the campaigns. I only played them for PvP. I didn't care about the campaigns.
That hurts because I do love the Halo campaigns.
I like the third one. I played the third one. That was good.
You haven't played the other Halo games?
No, I was too busy playing 05 Battlefront.
God,
I'm being dead serious when I'm an OG Battlefront fan. That's literally the only game I played. And my brother got Halo.
Wow.
I wanted to jump in when you said the content thing. Battlefront the new one has I don't know the exact amount, but it's got a ton more content. Heroes, maps, the campaign length. Actually, I don't know. Is Mace
Windu in the game?
I knew Spencer would pop in eventually because he has been trying.
No, but we've got a chick with a yellow lightsaber, so unless you got mods.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm just saying. You said content. Battlefront 2 statistically has more maps, more heroes,
more
now
characters,
it does. More
yeah,
weapons.
now it does. Yeah,
no, from the beginning, it still did.
No, not from the beginning. The beginning, those maps. First of all, those maps, half of them can't even be considered maps. All right, they're all
bigger than the
literally
ones from 05.
Yeah, bigger and longer.
Name drop Ray with the yellow lightsaber.
Yeah, because he chimed in, Lunga.
They're longer. You literally literally the entire fucking like multiplayer in Battlefront 2 right now is you push forward a little bit and you get further along into the map and you get
Only
further along.
on what's the main game mode? Not the Capital
Supremacy?
Supremacy.
Yeah,
No, that's the
Supremacy.
conquest mode. That's the
Yeah.
huge open map segment,
Yeah,
which
that's cool
has
'cause-
even
'cause
more
you-
maps.
you-
And then
you
you have
ca-
Galactic
capture the
Assault as
point and
well.
whatnot.
Yeah,
I-
Galactic
I-
Assault is the linear one, which I quite enjoy that mode to an extent.
No, when they add Galactic Conquest
Nerds.
into the new Battlefront 2, I'll be impressed. All right.
Again, I'll come back in. EA or not EA, DICE. They did do that. That's what Supremacy is, but they had to get it out sooner than they wanted to, from what it seems like.
Jesus
And
Christ.
so it's great. It's a good mode, but like there's not enough in it, and that's just the sad truth. So it's like they really tried their freaking best, and I love the developers over at DICE. I would talk to them all the time back in the day, a couple years ago or whatever. And it's just very sad to see, because I could name the names who left: Guillaume, CJ, which is that Christian Johansson, Dennis Brandval. I could go on about others, and these aren't like random skitter scattered developers. These are like leads of the game. The fact that they left after EA decided to shut it down is pretty telling of how it's going on down there.
Well, EA doesn't seem to like their talent. You guys remember the Ragtag game? They left Amy Hennig out there to dry. They literally shut down an entire studio called Visceral Games. It just kind of seems like it's the same thing with EA, where like almost no matter what, they make an extremely disappointing move for Star Wars fans. I mean, this guy who was making the report saying that they have 2 titles that are story-driven single-player games. Well, we all know one of them is Jedi Fallen Order 2. And
Right.
so the second game that is a single player game, I'm excited to hear about this. It's funny that they're singing a different tune compared to like what 5-6 years ago when they canceled Ragtag and they were like, oh, gamers don't want to play a single player story driven game. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Where did that come from? What?
You're a gaming company. You don't think that?
You
Lunga,
guys are speaking Wookiee right now. I have no idea.
Yeah, I was about
what
to
you're
say,
talking about.
did you not play Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah, Fallen Order I played. I
Okay,
rage
okay.
quit. Not
come
because
on.
the game was bad, but because I'm old and I suck
I was
at
about to
it,
go over
I
and
went,
fight you if you said that game is bad.
The game is great. I just can't do that kind of gameplay. I'm too old. for
Dude,
this
you
shit.
can
And
literally turn it down to
pissing
the difficulty
myself.
where you don't die.
I was about to
but
say,
you know
is-
what? Then I
there a low
feel
setting
like
you
a
put it
little
on?
bitch. Then
You
I feel like a
quit.
little
You
bitch.
rage quit. You can't
Well,
say
you are
that.
rage quit, yeah.
Come on.
No, at least rage quit. I kept my dignity.
It's not a problem anymore. It
When you
doesn't
rage
exist.
quit, when you rage quit, you like acknowledge that it is in fact the game. But when you like lower it to its like lowest difficulty, then it's like, okay, well, I need help, not the game. I
Yeah,
need help.
because there's little 12-year-olds out there playing it like an extra hard, and I'm like, I'm like easy
You
mode,
boomer.
like I'm a grandpa.
Hey,
I don't want to
hey.
acknowledge I'm getting older. All right, goddamn it, help me.
You can't keep
I-
up.
I relate to that when
years.
it came to what was that game, Fortnite, when that came out. Man, the first 2 or 3 seasons of it, I played it and like, you shoot at somebody and then they just fucking build an entire
Doing,
like
920s
skyscraper.
building.
Yeah, and like the speed
Building
they go
Eiffel
at, I'm like,
Towers,
I
yeah.
just can't keep up. And same thing with like Call of Duty. I used to fuck people up on like Black Ops 1 and 2 and Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and now like I get on there and like kids tell me like the things they would do to my mom or something, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You did
Like,
the same. You did the same to the older people back in the day when you were playing.
oh
Modern
yeah,
Warfare 2.
I was ruthless.
It's
I
just a
was
generation.
ruthless. If anyone wants to cancel me, just find out my old gamer tag on Xbox Live and just listen to the audio chats that I had, the shit that I would say.
See, we were
so-
never allowed microphone or the headsets and stuff for the longest
There'll be a
time.
little squeaker, and Star Wars Only is like, fuck you and your mom.
It's like, I'll beat your sister. It's like, I don't have a sister. You will in 9 months. All right, just
Oh,
wait.
gosh.
God damn.
Everyone's telling me in my Discord to get in the DICE developers in on this, like Dennis or Ben Walk.
God, I mean,
I would, believe me,
I
I
would love
would.
to have him on. Lunga wouldn't be able to talk to them because he would just be like, "Hey, is your game worth playing? Like, why
You're
haven't I
like, why are
played
you
it yet?"
here? Who are you? What's your name again?
Oh man,
I'm
do you guys
a
feel
very
like
picky gamer.
That's fair.
gamer.
I've become a picky gamer myself as of late. Putting time into games like that, you have to really pick and choose. I've been playing SWTOR a lot, but it's not Battlefront, so it's far different. It's a lot older at this point. I don't know. About memes, I'll ask you this because I don't think Lunga gives a fuck about EA and their Star Wars stuff anymore. Do you think anything's good going to happen from EA from here going forward? Like,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
are you genuinely happy that we're getting rid of the exclusivity deal, or do you think that maybe this Jedi Fallen Order sequel in whatever single player game it can somehow redeem EA? Like, What's the goal for them now?
I would say it's similar to the Kathleen Kennedy situation, but I don't think it is at all. Too many people hate EA, even Battlefront fans. It'd be like sequel fans seem to like Kennedy, right? Battlefront fans hate EA.
Damn.
So I don't think, like, for your first question, yeah, of course, I'm really glad, because the fact that they said, they had this exclusive license and they go, we don't want to make that many Star Wars games, one of the biggest IPs in the world, because you have to make a little bit more money compared to if we made a Battlefield game. The fact that they said that, just no, like, okay, allow them to keep making games. I'm all for that, because at least there's competition now. I think Fallen Order 2, which I don't even think it's gonna be called Fallen Order 2. It seems like from the original title, it's Star Wars Jedi, and then the name of the game. So like it's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so it's gonna be Star Wars Jedi, whatever. I don't think it's gonna be about Cal Kestis or anything. That's just a theory, though. Anyways, I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be great. As for the other story-driven game, who knows? It'll probably get canceled, because they canceled 5 million other Star Wars games. So yeah, but I'm glad they're expanding the license. Obviously, who's making the High Republic open world game? What's the name of that company? Quantic Dream. I don't know anything about them.
You should play 2 games by them, but specifically this one, Detroit Become Human. One of my favorite games ever.
Really?
Miss Only recommended it to me many months ago, and I was like, oh, like I've seen it. I never really thought much about it, and then I played it, and she was right. Like, I absolutely loved that game. I went back and played it again because it was that good. Very good dialogue, very good. Everything you do has consequences and actions and whatnot, and characters affect other characters. It's hard to describe, but it is extremely well. Before we move on, do you think there's ever going to be a Battlefront 3? Do you think that's ever going to happen? And if it is,
I don't know. You've heard of the curse of Battlefront 3, right? You know the whole story.
Not only Battlefront 3, the number 3 in general for Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Force Unleashed 3 didn't come out.
Well, yeah, Force Unleashed 3, KOTOR 3. Yeah, Star Wars 3 is never going to happen. But specifically with Battlefront series, I mean, you see how far they got into developing the old. I can't remember who made it. It's not Pandemic. It was Free Radical. Yeah. Of course, they were working with Pandemic Studios. That thing was literally playable. Yes, they still had, I think they said 10 to 15% more to go. And then LucasArts, because of some money issues, they needed more time and money, and they said, and then canned it. As well as a few other production issues on the inside. Reminds me of EA, actually.
And you see why I have a hard time with this discussion, because for me, for games I did play, or when I cared about gaming, anytime I heard EA, I always thought sports. That's it.
Same. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
well, that's what they were known for.
EA Madden, EA FIFA, or whatever. Yeah. The same game every single year.
In the game,
$100 million every year.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what they care about. I think that's their bread and butter. That's where they make most of their money.
You know how much money they made in a month from their little mobile games? They're not going to want to make a Battlefront. They made I think $20 million in a month on some Galaxy of Heroes game or some mobile.
Oh god, I forgot about Galaxy.
The microtransactions. That's where it's at. But I'm with Battlefront, I hate saying it, but hearing with the way they're talking about, they're so stupid. I feel like I could do this in a better way than them. Look, literally make a Battlefront game. You can either make it free or make it cost $60. People are going to buy it no matter what. And then have a dev team dedicated to making new skins, new outfits for heroes. Has nothing it's just cosmetics, right? Then you can have as much microtransactions as you want. You know how many skins are in Star Wars? How many outfits Star Wars characters wear and stuff? It's so just it's pretty obvious how much money they can make from that.
This is where my boomer side comes out. I'm so fucking tired of spending $60 on a game that's not finished.
Yeah.
Back in my day, you would buy a game and you never had to fucking worry about anything. You would buy it and it was all there. The Halo games, now people are upset about the way you do cosmetics and everything. Back in the day, you'd buy a game, you'd play it, you unlock skins.
Mm-hmm.
You never, if you wanted DLC, it was maybe once a year. You got a $20 DLC.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. It was actually something they spent years making. Nowadays,
the game wasn't dependent on it.
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays, you spend $60 and they're like, okay, the game will be finished in a year. Maybe we'll let you know. It's no,
it's irritating because it's you look at Modern Warfare, the old Call of Duty games. Look at their progression system. Look at the new Modern Warfare's progression system. Yeah, it's there, but if you want to get these extremely good and overpowered guns, you got to pay us $15 for the battle pass or whatever. And it's not going away because it makes them absurd amount of money. It's never going to go away for the time being, from what I'm seeing. So Get used to it. Only, I'm sorry.
I sadly already am.
Yeah, it's
But
expected nowadays.
we do have some kind of before we get into the sequel stuff, because I know that's going to be our bread and butter here. But for me, like kind of small news, but I guess big news if you're really into the Ahsoka series that's upcoming. Deadline has a report that's saying Rosario Dawson has found her co-star for the Ahsoka Tano series, and it is going to be this lady named Tia Sakar or Sakar. Am I saying that right, Lunga? Do you know who this woman is at all?
Are we talking about the Sabine Wren casting?
Yes, she is casted as Sabine Wren. Deadline says is a young Mandalorian warrior and graffiti artist, Imperial Academy dropout, and former bounty hunter with an expert knowledge of weapons and explosives. This lady's playing Sabine. I don't know how to say her name though. I can't say anyone's name.
So wait, hold on. So did they change it because they had the Natasha Leo Bordizzo was cast as Sabine Wren.
Oh, you know what? I was reading this wrong. Tia is the voice actress. My dumb ass didn't realize that. You're right. Natasha is the actual live action.
Sad. I don't know who
the
this
name.
is.
I'm like the name's not. I'm like, wait, did something change? Did I miss something? Because I was just reporting on it like 2 days ago.
My mic like literally blocked out the entire section about the actual lady, and I could only see the part about Tia. Well,
Natasha
okay,
Leo Bordizzo. She was in I was just talking about it. Well, she was in the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon second one movie. She was in Guns Akimbo, if anyone's seen that. The Nova. It was an Amazon movie with Daniel Radcliffe. Really good. And she was also in oh Jesus, what's the other one? There's another one too. It's at the top of my head. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, she from what I've seen her in, she's a good actress and she looks the part. So
yeah, that's what I was kind of surprised about. Is like she genuinely looks like Sabine, and I'm sure she's gonna do the short hair and whatnot. I can't say if I'm excited about this news or not. I'm just happy we have like a live action Sabine. And from what you're saying, she seems to be a very good actress. So hopefully it goes well. I feel like Rosario Dawson's a good actress as well. So like having these two on screen together, I feel like it's going to be a good rapport no matter what. And I mean, the two characters already have a lot of like not backstory.
Oh, The Greatest Showman. That's what she was in. The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, the one with Hugh Jackman.
Right.
Okay.
She was the trapeze girl who was who fell in love with Zac Efron.
I'd fall in love with him too. Good looking guy. I mean, Palmemes, you know anything about this chick? I mean, are you excited in general about Sabine being in live action?
Yeah, I like Sabine. I hope she has a longer hair. I don't know. Anyway,
really longer hair? You're not digging the short teenage rebellion look?
Not my cup of tea. I don't judge. Not my cup of tea. I'm sorry.
She's a tagger, bro.
But no, I'm excited. I'm excited for the show. It's not. It's like the Hayden Christensen news in this was like a 10 out of 10 excitement. This is like a 6 or 7. It's honestly kind of expecting. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, holy cow. It was just like, oh, cool. So now we have this confirmed. Nice. I agree. She looks the part. I'm sure she'll do a great job. I don't know too much about the actress, but I'm excited to see the show. I'm excited to see because Dave Filoni. If we're going to be talking about Dave Filoni's quote on this, where he talked about how this is a story that has been going around in his head for years.
We're talking about the other article. Did you guys not know? Am I the only one that noticed this? Okay, we were all complaining about the Disney Plus day, right? That they didn't give us nothing. It was nonsense. They explain me why a week later suddenly there's 4 articles that all come out in the same publication. One's talking to Kathleen Kennedy, one's talking to Dave Filoni. I mean, they're just
John Favreau, I think, as well.
Yeah, John Favreau, Ewan McGregor, I think. But they're just talking like everyone. I was like, oh, we need to save face. Let's put up some articles. Let's talk. And then they release the Sabine Wren news. It's like,
well, there was something else. I mean, all this
is that not retroactively trying to fix things?
I don't know if it's a retroactive thing, but it's beyond infuriating because it's like I would imagine at least with Empire, because Empire is like a magazine. They plan this stuff out months ahead of its release. This was already planned. But at the same fucking time, it's like you could have.
Did you read a Filoni article?
I have it right here.
It was a nothing burger.
It says
nothing.
Here's the full paragraph about the nothing burger. Speaking to Empire, Filoni opened up about progress on the show, which he's currently writing. It's thrilling, I got to tell you. Filoni of the scripting process. It's something you imagine doing for a long time, and then it's kind of startling when you're sitting there and now you have to do it. As you'd imagine, the show is offering him a chance to tell an Ahsoka story he's always wanted to tell with some new additions. He goes on to say, I thought of this adventure for Ahsoka a long time, and it's interesting to see how it's evolved. Years ago, I would never imagine that it was sprung from a branch of a tree that had anything to do with a guy like Din Djarin or a child that looks like Yoda. It's a great lesson for me on how, when you have other creatives like Jon Favreau, they can help lend such a dimension and depth to what you're doing. It just sounds to me that like he's always had a plan for Ahsoka and her story, and now he can kind of, like he's saying, branch off of Din Djarin and Yoda. But it's
Can I hit a button? Can I hit a button?
hit them all. Hit them all.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
That was the entire article. That was the entire article.
What?
That was the entire. That was it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm so excited to do this. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
But do you think it's going to be great, Lunga? Do you have faith in Dave Filoni that he can do this? I mean,
oh yeah, I do. I do.
Really?
But that article was just to save face.
Of course, yeah.
It was with people out there to talk, so they can fix some of this PR nightmare from Disney Plus Day, and that's all it was. But there was nothing gleaned from that at all.
It's tease marketing. It's like we're gonna tell you that it's happening still. I mean, good.
And I'm excited about it. Thank you, Dave. I'm glad you're excited about it because I'd be worried if you weren't.
I know. Imagine the article. I was like, I'm not really feeling this show. We'll see what happens when it finally comes together.
He's like, I'm nervous as fuck. He's like, I want to be so honest. I reached out to George, and he's writing 4 of the episodes for me. It's like, well, how many episodes are you getting? 6. All right, it was 6, and George is writing 4. I'd be worried. I like Dave. I always feel guilty when I talk about Dave Filoni because I like him. He's a great guy. He does really good with some of the Star Wars stories he makes. But man, the Mandalorian episodes that he's done, I'm not the biggest fan in the world. Like mainly that the chapter 5 from season 1, and then when you look at even the Ahsoka one that she showed up in with season 2, that one was really good. But at the same time, there was at least some directing issues that I was kind of like, it looked a little corny at times, a little weird edits. So I'm looking forward to the series, but I'm cautiously optimistic just because it seems like Filoni's taking this on all by himself. And I'm scared that this is such a big character, and it's his character, so it's his right to take it on by himself. But at the same time, I'm like, man, if he, for some reason or another, doesn't deliver the way fans want him to, I think people are going to be really disappointed and upset with Dave. I doubt it's going to happen. I'm pretty confident he's going to do this right because he does have someone like Jon Favreau helping him out. But there will be hell to pay if he doesn't pull the Ahsoka series off right. And I mean, honestly, do you guys think this would be the end of Ahsoka's story? Do you think like they're actually going to end her story with this series?
Because you want it to be the end.
I do. I'm fucking tired of her, Lunga. I'm fucking tired of her. God damn. When
question much?
I want someone to die in Star Wars. I don't just want them to die. I want them to die and not be a thing anymore.
Ben Solo died, and you saw what happened of the reaction of that.
Well, but that's because he was interesting, and the only interesting thing about the sequels, all right? Like
come on, that's for another topic.
Most Star Wars fans, OG trilogy, most of them are not necessarily upset that their heroes died. That wasn't the issue. It's how and why they died. Okay, that was the problem.
That's what I want with someone like Ahsoka, where it's like she's in everything now, and that's completely fine. She's an amazing character. I do not dislike this character in any way, but I've said it for a while. At some point, I'd like to move on. All right, I don't want to be reminded that Ahsoka's a thing every fucking year that Star Wars is around. And like, if this series ends and then they're like, oh, by the way, we're doing Rebels, the sequel series, it's going to be animated, and yes, Ahsoka is back, and that's where we're going to see her story conclude. I'm gonna flip my shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, I've been seeing this character since I was like 8 or 9 years old in a movie theater watching the shitty Clone Wars movie. I'm 22. I'm ready to move on. Okay, I've almost spent a lifetime with this chick. Can I get a break? Can we get some space between me and Ahsoka? All right.
I mean, there was quite a few time there from the original cancellation and then the return of the last season. So I mean, there was quite a few years there that
yeah. But now it seems like for the next 5 years,
it was like 3 years.
But it's live action. This is different.
Oh, for sure. I'm off. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm a little bit easier on this than Only here.
All we got of her was her as a teenager. That's it.
Well, she's grown. She wasn't a teenager in Rebels, was she? She had to be in her 20s.
Yeah.
Okay, what? How many episodes was she in? 4?
Enough to fucking matter.
I mean, that Vader Ahsoka episode. I mean, that could have
saw
been
her
it.
at the end. No, that's another reason I get like kind of upset with Dave Filoni or whoever the fuck wrote that episode. Like, first of all, you got the helicopter blades, made no fucking sense. Second of all, like, no, not only did nobody die in that, like there was just kind of like an open-ended thing. Ahsoka like loses to Vader, and then it's teased that like she lives, and it's like, okay, like,
Well,
sure,
I think
she
the biggest
lives.
mistake he made was the world between world things, because now everybody's like, everybody can come back. We can bring everybody, even though it
I've
says
never-
in there that you really can't.
It's like putting time travel in a thing. It kind of ruins all consequences.
Your little sequel buddies, they're all in love with this idea. You understand it?
Oh,
because
yeah.
the whole
No.
transvergence
That is a
no.
very specific group.
Kylo
of
Ren's
buddies.
coming back because of some blurb from that book.
What book are you talking
used,
about? There's a lot of books around here, Lunga.
I think it was the Sith one. I think it was the Sith one when they're talking about Exegol. How the whatever they call the transvergence, whatever they call that thing that happens with the world between worlds. They're saying there's one on Exegol, and that's where Kylo fell in.
No, was it? No.
Don't do that, Lunga.
No. Kylo's death is a meaningful sacrifice to the end of his character. I will go on about how much I love the fact that
Not according to Raylos.
They have their opinions, I have mine. I'm tired of getting death threats from people, but listen, his death is meaningful. It's a sacrifice. It's a good ending to his character arc, in my opinion.
Yeah, he
These
was a
movies
good
aren't
stepping
real.
stone for Ray.
You're either
These movies
with us
aren't real.
or
So
you're
don't
my
get
enemy.
mad at me because of the fact I'm okay with someone dying in a movie. That's
You need that
fictional.
clip. Star Wars.
Well, are you guys? I'll fucking clip that right now, everybody. But are you guys okay with Ahsoka dying? I have to know.
No.
As long as it's a good ending, absolutely. I mean, I'd be okay.
If it's a 5-season show. Sure.
5 seasons? You want 5
You
seasons?
brought up
of this
5
chick?
seasons.
If you're gonna kill her, yes.
Oh fuck no.
So she can't have like a sacrifice, a good, not even sacrifice, but like a good ending where you're like, okay, her story is done. That was
After about 4 or 5 seasons.
We've had how many seasons of the Clone Wars
Not live action.
and
we've had 0.
Rebels? Oh, come on,
I
it's
don't
not the same
give a fuck
character.
about
Those are
live
teenage
action.
years.
I don't
Clone Wars was
care.
her teenage
It's live
years.
action.
And in Rebels, it was maybe about at most 30 minutes of her adult life. It wasn't, so we haven't had anything.
She was at the end of Rebels. She's like.
Did you think Rey should have died in Rise? Not that you care.
I
Lunga.
think Rey should
Oh,
have existed,
100%.
that's-
Fair enough. Never mind it.
I do think Ray should have died in Rise
She's a
of Skywalker.
teenager in the
I
Rise.
don't give a
My
Maybe she's
daughter-
20.
fuck.
My daughter.
Is
literally
she a
said-
teenager? She's a teenager. Why the fuck she's kissing a guy in his 30s?
Okay, she's like,
Wow.
I think she's at 19 in Force Awakens, so she's
My
20.
daughter-
All right, she's 20.
My daughter said when we were watching Rise, she's like, no, F that. Ben should live. Kill that bitch.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
she's got a crush on him. Listen, I don't care what anyone
it wasn't that.
No, no,
It
it's not a
wasn't
crush.
that. She
It's
just
just logic.
hated Ray. It was-
I will go
Palpatine's
on.
Palpatine, you know we love you, but I think most people under or overestimate the popularity of Rey, and also underestimate how disappointing it was to see Kylo, who actually had a redemption arc, die just the same fucking way his dad did right before the end of the movie.
and not only that, to save her.
Yeah, did she
Well,
really need saving? What did she need from
Yeah.
him? All right,
She
a kiss. Ooh, fucking
Yeah, that was a
fuck
little
outta here.
much.
You could have listen. If she died, then you guys could have martyred her. I mean, it would have been tremendous. Statues.
That's a good
You guys
point.
could have had fun.
Then what
She
happens
really
to
could have
Kylo?
been like, well, he could. That's what makes it interesting is that he's the fucking villain who survived it.
I would have been okay with him pulling a Luke and moving to
he's
Aqua
redeemed.
too.
He's
I would've been
redeemed in
okay
her
with that.
eyes, but he's not redeemed in the galaxy's eyes. So he has to wander the galaxy in like exile.
I
or
would
something
have.
like that.
I want to say before people start talking about me, I would have been okay with either one, depending on how it was done. Okay, I would have been okay with both endings. Okay, I would think it would have been a really interesting trope if Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, because he is, whether you want to say it or not, he is an evil man. He did evil, horrific things. If he would like kind of pull a Luke in a way where he moved to Ahsoka or something like that, and that's the ending. But what does that mean for the future of Star Wars? I don't know. You know, I think it was a smart idea to have the future of Star Wars be hopeful, or the ending of the Skywalker saga be filled with hope. And I think
I want to say one last thing
Yeah.
about and compared to Luke, and then I'll leave it alone. I'll let you live in your lovely world.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't leave it alone. We're literally.
No, this is hilarious.
We're gonna talk about the sequels in a second. About like.
Okay, we'll hold
We're
it
not
back.
even
We'll
to
hold
it
back.
yet. Oh my
We'll hold
gosh.
it back.
Sadly, fucking last little part about this, I guess, is like, do you think we're gonna see the world between worlds in this Ahsoka series? Because
Unfortunately, yeah, probably.
Have you guys seen the logo to it? It's literally the world
Yeah,
between worlds. Only
shit.
like, don't even ask
Come
that
on,
question.
man. Come
Let's be
on.
real here. Let's look at this.
Don't you think something like that has to be something like extremely integral to the story? Like I hated the fact that
That's
Ezra
how
and
they're going to
Ahsoka.
bring in Anakin. That's how not just Anakin, but as him as Darth Vader. She's gonna go back through there again, or at some
What? You think
point
it's gonna be Vader?
No,
she's
I
gonna
don't. I
she's
don't
gonna go
want
back and
that.
watch an
No,
event.
I
and
want
you're
the
gonna
final
see him doing
episode to be
something.
her. You know, it's the ending of her character, whatever, whether she dies or not. Anakin shows up and they have a nice conversation about how, hey, everything's good with me. I'm a good guy now.
I don't want any Darth Vader in this.
I don't either. I want Anakin.
Yeah.
I want Anakin. I don't want no Darth
Okay,
Vader.
we agree. Good.
No, I don't want Anakin in it either. I want new characters. I want her to go on her own fucking adventure, her own story. And I want, you know what? If she doesn't have to die in the series, like truth be told, I do not have to
I
see
agree.
her physically die. But if she could fucking sit down on a bench and just go, I'm old, I'm done. I'm going to live out the rest of my years on this planet. I'm going to find a husband, maybe have a family, teach other people the way of the Force. I'd be happy with that. But I do not want her to get the world between world, because my problem with the world between worlds is that, like, I think someone like Ezra, like, I don't know what the fuck he does. I guess this is me being like pretentious in a way of like, oh, you don't deserve this, but what the fuck does this little brat done to deserve to get the world between worlds? That's supposed to be like, that's from the gods themselves, the ones, the Father, the Son, and the daughter. Like, I feel like someone like Anakin, it makes sense that he was involved with them specifically because he's the chosen one. But like, if it's Ezra, it makes no sense to me why he gets to do that, or I feel like that's supposed to be for someone who is extremely powerful in the Force. I don't think that's Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka is what the Jedi should have been, and like a prime example of a true Force user. But that does not mean she's the most powerful Force user ever, and does not mean she should be granted all this fucking mystical powers and shit.
I mean,
Like
I
the world
agree
between
with your
worlds.
whole thing. I agree with your whole thing about the world between worlds. We don't need it. I don't think we need it. Honestly, I don't at all, unless it's some big, huge story point with some, like you said, big, powerful people or something explaining the Force. That's different. But just for these characters, we don't need the world between worlds. Now, as far as you saying how you wanted to like do something else, new characters, not have to worry about it. Think about it. Do you think you could literally have a Luke Skywalker series, even if it's the most perfect series that you would enjoy? Let's say we had a Luke Skywalker series. You think you're going to have a Luke Skywalker series without ever seeing Ben, without ever seeing Yoda? It's impossible. That's why you can't separate. Anakin was her.
I agree. He's essential to her story. And if you're going to bring her in live action, sure, Mandalorian, she's there to continue Din Djarin's story, but this is her story right now in live action. And I think it would be a very missed opportunity because, okay, I understand you get the fan service aspect of it. I understand that, but let's look at the story aspect. How emotional and how meaningful it would be for Ahsoka to truly learn what actually happened to her master, Anakin Skywalker. You know, if she never gets that closure, you're just missing a huge chunk of, in my opinion, would be a very great part of the story.
That's a good point.
And I go back to my game example. The Ahsoka is that one who became disenfranchised with the Jedi, but not disenfranchised with the light side of the Force. And to me, she could start her own school of thinking. Wouldn't be called Jedi. It could be called something else. You know, the Wills, whatever. I mean, she could start her own like school of thought. I like her as a difference of philosophy because the Jedi were so dogmatic and didn't allow independent thinking. I like the fact that she could start her own kind of school, her own kind of teaching.
Do you think that'll happen in this? Like it won't be what the show's about, obviously, but do you think they'll like kind of set it up in a way? If so, how does that go?
Ezra, and if the next Jedi Ezra sees after Kanan is Ahsoka.
We'll talk about sequel characters. I know you don't want to talk about this, but I know we're talking about sequel characters and stuff. But do you think? I'm open minded. I have no idea. Do you think Ahsoka is going to meet and lead up to our sequel heroes like Finn and Rey in any way? Do you think that's
you're not? Do you want it? 5 seasons? You want this to last 20 years? Because this is 5 years after Jedi.
I'm saying, do you think
we don't know
Lucasfilm
when it
will do
is,
that?
but
Yeah.
I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. Like that's where I'm getting about like this should be its own. She's, in my opinion, her and Sabine are going to go to the unknown regions.
Yeah,
unknown. I don't want to fucking think about Rey. I don't want to think about Poe. I don't want to think about Finn. I don't want to.
I'm not saying in this show. I'm saying like later on, like another show.
No. Well, maybe another show. They can deal with these characters, but I don't like Rey and Ahsoka. I don't want that meeting.
Oh,
I don't want
yeah,
that
not
to ever
in this
happen.
show. Absolutely,
I don't.
No, not in this show.
I just really want, like, they've teased stuff about the unknown regions for a very long time now. And reading the new Thrawn books, I finished the 3rd one recently. It has really done a good job on building up the unknown regions and making it interesting. So I'm praying to God that they pull it off and don't turn this into one of those things where they build a lot of stories have like this tendency of building up like the mystery aspect of things, kind of like with the Game of Thrones series, A Song of Ice and Fire, like what the White Walkers are and all that stuff, and like the mystical stuff behind it. And there's a lot of mystery to it. It's like, well, why are they doing this? And then you find out it's like, oh, well, they just want to destroy the world and rule everything. It's like, oh, that kind of took away from the mysterious aspect of it. But not only that, it just made it not a very satisfying conclusion, and it didn't really give me a good answer. I really hope they don't drop the ball with the unknown regions where they turned it into, oh, it's unknown, but there's nothing unique or special about it. There's nothing that we have to really fear. It's just kind of like another part of the galaxy we haven't explored. It's like, no, like there's a reason the hyperspace lanes don't work out there, and people think it's not hyperspace related, but it's something to do with like another being, like interfering with that, like a very powerful entity that's preventing it, or something in the force preventing it. Like there's intrigue and mystery to that.
They say there's some ties with Yoda, because there's some of the theories people had is that Yoda's species are from the unknown regions and they're way out there, and they purposely
that would be cool.
I haven't heard that. That's awesome.
So people wouldn't find their home world.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would love that, and I don't know if they could explore that in the Ahsoka series, but if they could explore the unknown regions in a very unique way, I would be very satisfied. I would love to see her go to the Chiss Ascendancy. Just go to one planet that has nothing but Chiss. I would fanboy out, and that's enough I need. That's all I need for the season.
Now, I will say this, as far as sequel trilogies in Ahsoka, with her age being what she is, if we talk about a couple of years after Rise, she would be early 70s. Okay. She's old enough. Yeah. She was born
and they
they
live for a while.
BBY. No, they're average like human. They have like average human years. So 80-ish, 80, 90. So I could see her being like a Yoda type figure, and she's like isolated herself somewhere to meditate, and Rey maybe seeks her out and gets. So I don't mind like a cameo in something that they do.
Only if it works for the story and it helps grow Rey,
right?
And whatever the situation is. Yeah. I don't want her just showing up and be like, "Hey, you guys remember me?"
No, bye. Like I said, whatever she's seeking, whatever she's doing, and she needs to speak to another Jedi, and she knows what's.
Well, my idea has always been, so like, I know we're going to be talking about this, but while we're on this topic, like, and this is just kind of what I would hope is Rey and Finn, right? Rey wants to train Finn, blah, 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 but she fails miserably at it, because I think she's a very good teacher, but how can she teach someone else? So I think that'd be a really good stepping stone for her, and build a really neat arc if they do a show like that. And then of course she has to reach out to other Jedi, because she's like, I know there's more Force users, she can feel it or whatever. I need to find this so I can get help. And leads her to Ahsoka. I know it'd be kind of similar to Mando, how the whole Luke thing, but it's different because she herself is a Jedi and she needs to teach Finn. I think that'd be really interesting and would help keep it about our two main characters in this sequel show, whatever it would be, while also bringing in a character that fans love and everything. I think it'd work. It'd be a good win-win scenario.
Well, I know we're all like, I mean, everything's about the sequels at this point, and
I'm sorry.
Is kind of like no. I'm glad, because this is the big fucking apple pie for me on this Thanksgiving episode, and it's what Kathleen Kennedy said. What was it this past week? It was in that Empire interview that me and Longa fucking hate with a passion. That she says. Well, actually, here's just the full article, the full paragraph from the article. It says, it sounds like there may be more stories to come involving the crew introduced in the most recent sequel trilogy, which wrapped up on the big screen with The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. Kathleen Kennedy says, certainly those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on, and those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. We've heard about a Finn spinoff series. We talked about how Daisy Ridley had breakfast with Kathy not but 2-3 weeks ago after she hit that guy with her car. It seems like they've been hinting at this for a while. I know the answer from Pal memes. Of course, you want more sequel stories. Lunga, this is a question me and you had to ask ourselves, because this is important. Even if me and you don't like the sequels, I think this is an important question to ask. Do we want these characters to return, and do we want to see more?
Here, if you're just asking a straight up yes or no question, personally, just for my disinterest in most of them, it's no. Maybe Finn. I did like Finn. There would have to definitely be a new direction. There would definitely have to be better writing. There would have to be a reevaluation of what did we do, even if we think we did some stuff right. What did we do wrong with this character? Why is she not, like, you can't chalk off all the people that hate her on the ists. Okay, every single person that hates this character cannot be racist, cannot be sexist, cannot be whatever. There's some writing reasons why people don't like this character, and you really have to reevaluate that, and not just throw it under the rug as, oh, they're just haters. Come on, take a hard look at it, and if you still keep what makes her, and then give her challenges, give her stuff to fail, which is kind of leading into what I was going to talk about earlier. Give her stuff that she can fail at.
Nice.
Give her stuff that she can learn from. It can be compelling if you do it the right way. So no, I'm not going to say no right off the bat. Just do it right.
I'll say for myself, because I think we both know Pal Memes wants to see these characters return.
You guys my answer might shock you. Why?
Okay. The why would be interesting.
Go ahead.
I want these characters to return because I do feel empty-handed after the sequel trilogy. I do feel like there was so much that could have been done. There's so much caring about these characters that I could have cared about. I don't care about really any of them. I like Finn because I think he's the most relatable person out there when it comes to these sequel trilogy characters. But with someone like Rey, someone like Poe, yeah, I don't really care to see them come back. But I think the opportunity of having them come back is worthy of them having more stories post Rise of Skywalker. Because I talked about this in my video about this situation today of when you look at the original trilogy cast and the original trilogy movies, I think most of us would chop off our left arm to see live action Luke, Han, and Leia after Return of the Jedi, but like actually have the characters or the actors in their youth play those roles again. That would be amazing. I mean, just seeing the reaction to Luke in The Mandalorian season 2 is proof that we want to see these characters during this timeline. The problem is they're old. Carrie Fisher's passed away. Harrison Ford couldn't fucking care less. And Mark Hamill's also just old. And so when it comes to these sequel trilogy cast members and these characters from the sequels, we have an opportunity to actually delve deeper into their story and kind of give service to fans who do like these movies. And let's say 10 years after the movie's release, we see them again on the, not the big screen, but in some capacity in Star Wars. That's going to be really sentimental to a lot of people, and it's going to mean a lot. So I think that for that reason alone, to really build a legacy for these characters, they don't need to be in every series. They don't need to have their own spinoff series. They don't need to be in every Star Wars project going forward. But anything that is post Rise of Skywalker, you need to see a little bit of them. A cameo here, a mention there. They need to feel involved and connected in that universe. And I hope that they do continue their stories in some capacity, because like I said earlier, it just feels unfulfilled. And so I don't want more, but I do think we as a fandom, in terms of steering Star Wars in the right direction story-wise going forward, we need to see more of these characters. Am I wrong?
No.
In a way, again, it leads to what I said, as long as they do it right, you know?
Yeah.
Because this is when I pose this challenge to you, puppies. In The Last Jedi,
I want to talk about it.
Compared to Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, what did Rey lose? What struggles did she have at the end of the
Ben
Last Jedi?
Solo, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Leia.
She
Han
lose
Solo
these
was
people?
gone. Hold on. Han Solo was gone, and she knew him for what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, he's at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
But
that
it's
was,
still part of the
Force
list.
Awakens. That was the Force Awakens. That didn't happen in The Last Jedi.
Her family.
And
her entire
Kylo
family.
Ren, we're saying she lost.
She didn't lose. Yeah, she didn't lose him.
He's her
In fact,
dyad.
it was growing stronger. Their bond was growing stronger, actually, if anything. That's a positive.
She gained them. She gained him, even though like she turned his hand down.
Did you see that
And
smile at the end of her face?
Hold on.
when she
You're
was
talking straight.
all
You're
happy.
My mistake. You're talking just about Last Jedi?
Right.
Oh, I don't know.
Her
I don't care
events
about
what
Last
happened
Jedi.
in The Last Jedi. Okay. Because that's the center of the arc, right? We know what an arc is. We know how a character grows and
Of course,
what
yeah.
the challenge. In Empire, Luke lost his hand, lost his lightsaber, was revealed that Space Hitler was his father,
Space Hitler.
lost his friend. Okay. Han Solo was taken. They didn't know if he was going to survive or not. Okay. Lost his identity. Left Yoda, stopped his training, and was basically told, you dumb, by like the only training Jedi in the galaxy that could help him. Ben wasn't even kind of talking to him. He almost died on Hoth. do you see the challenges that character? This is why I get angry when people, not angry is the wrong word. This is why I get annoyed when people want to compare and say, oh no, she did do all, she went through all these things. You just don't understand her. Bro, she did not go through any of that. If anything, she had a smile at the end of her face at the end of the last Jedi.
Well, I gotta completely disagree. I don't think it's, I'll be honest with you. This is a question one for Goldman, because while I do like The Last Jedi, me and Goldman are pretty...
Raise your girl.
I know. And I don't think it's fair to talk about her from the middle of a trilogy. Yes, that's how Luke's arc went, but Rey's arc hits different points in different segments of the entire trilogy. I could go on about the things she lost, about the emotional trauma she dealt with since she was a young girl, losing her family. And then, of course, you talk about the big reveal of Space Hitler. Oh, and Rise of Skywalker, she has to overcome the idea that, okay, my whole life I wanted to come from something great and powerful, and I got just that, right?
You know, Daisy Ridley herself said that she did not find her search for her family or who she was a challenge or a struggle. She thought it was a
care what Daisy Ridley said. I'm just saying
she's Rey.
No, I disagree with her. I've never seen this, but I do disagree with her. But I'm a viewer. She's the actor. I'm your actress. You know, from my point of view, I think Rey's a very good character. I made a whole essay video on it, Lunga, which I assume you haven't watched yet. No, but for real, I don't think it's fair to say, well, Luke lost all these things in episode 5. Rey didn't lose as much in episode 8. Whenever you can look at the things that Rey lost throughout the entire trilogy, from the beginning of her story as a child to where she goes at the end, she lost and gained a lot.
She was an orphan.
We can talk.
That's it.
Her parents were murdered, right? Her parents abandoned her. That's not just becoming an orphan. She was alone.
But Goldman, not Goldman. I was going to call you Goldman just because of the sequel aspect. I see you all the same. I don't see color. I see opinions. I think like for me at least, like looking at, I don't find Anakin as like relatable of a character because he's the chosen one. Like who the fuck can relate to that? Luke Skywalker, I feel like is the most relatable out of our 3 protagonists or main protagonists between Luke, Rey, and Anakin, and that's because kind of like us as an audience member, we're not only new to this galaxy. His entire like arc is pretty much seeking destiny and fulfilling your destiny and finding that destiny in the universe and just trying to go out there and be somebody. With Rey, it's kind of weird to connect with her because she's like, I'm waiting for my family who's gone. I'm an orphan, but I got to get back to this place that I know no one's ever going to come to. And it felt like, at least in The Force Awakens, that arc was completely understood and we were able to move on from that. But then the entire premise of that movie was, well, who are her parents? Who is she? Like nobody. The entire thing is that she is supposed to be related to somebody. And that's the big question from The Force Awakens that you leave with is, oh, well, who is her parents? But then you get to The Last Jedi and it's like her parents are nobody. And I completely agree with that narrative. I completely agree that she doesn't have to be related to anybody to be somebody. I hate that notion that's been going on in Star Wars for a while. But that's exactly what The Rise of Skywalker did. It confirmed that she needed to be related to somebody to be somebody, to justify the powers that she has. No. And so it's kind of hard for me to be like, I can relate to this character because for me, at least, I don't know what to relate to her with.
That's fair with you, but I gotta completely disagree. And even Chris Terrio has talked about this. The whole point of them making Rey a Palpatine is for that overcoming that's the whole trope. The whole trope of her arc is it does not matter where you come from, whether you're nobody, whether you're a Palpatine, you are who you are, not what your past is. It's always been that from the very beginning. I will admit they did a lot of stupid stuff by not having a coherent plan. I'm sorry, J.J. Abrams had an outline, then Rian Johnson threw it away and blah, blah, blah. We can go on about that. I got to disagree. The whole point of her being a Palpatine isn't the fact that it's important. It's the fact that, no, Rey needed to learn that it's not important. And when she finally, hold on. When she finally accepts that, when she finally realizes, because you say it's not relatable, and that's fine. I don't speak for everyone, but for me, it is relatable. Where do you belong in this world? Where do we belong? That's her entire thing. She's put in this large galaxy. She has these amazing powers, but look, whether she's powerful or not, she has no idea where she belongs, and she doesn't feel like she fits in anywhere until she finally overcomes the fact that her past does not matter, in which what happens at the very end. Then Skywalker's come in and say, no, now this is where you belong.
But how did she change? How did she change? She's the same person at the end of Rise
by believing in herself and not what her past looked like.
Is I had no friends at the beginning of The Force Awakens. I have friends at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
No, it is a
That
complete
the only
emotional arc of
change.
accepting who you are and trusting who you are in yourself. The
accepting
entire
who-
beginning,
Force
she's
Awakens.
super conflicted and super. I don't even know the word I'm looking for.
She was sliding down sand dunes on. She looked perfectly happy. She was like,
No, she didn't like it. You saw that scene, that unspoken scene that spoke so many things without saying a word, where she was
the
scraping the
helmet?
metal. No, she's scraping the metal, and then she looks at the old
Oh,
lady
up against the
who's
yeah.
and she's like, I don't want this to become my life. I don't want to be trapped here forever. She said that without saying a word. It's good storytelling. It's good writing to me. To me though,
right.
like
But that
the way
still ties into Luke. I want to see the galaxy. Which changed. Remember, that's what was
she
Luke's
she
original
didn't want to
thing,
see
right?
the galaxy. That's what's kind of different.
Didn't want to.
Not really. No, she wanted to go back to fucking Jakku the entire fucking Force
Right,
Awakens.
that exactly.
Which
You just
tells
proved my
me-
point. She no, because it shows her with the helmet. It shows her looking up to the sky of the flying away ship. And once she finally does, that conflict with her is still boiling inside her, and she's like, no, this is exactly what I wanted, but no, I still have this struggle that's from behind me from the past that I'm still attached to. The whole point is letting go of that and moving on from that. Now
I think her whole reason to want to go out is she wanted to look for them, but she was scared to leave because she thought if she'd leave, they would come back. That was it.
Right. So the entire point is exactly.
She's scared. I gotta get back. Then she realizes, oh, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. The whole point is she needs to learn that it doesn't matter. What's done is done, and
she learned that, and she's the exact same character at the end that she was at the beginning. I gotta completely disagree. You can disagree, but I had not heard any compelling argument on how she's different.
Oh, that's fine.
That's his argument though. Is that like for him it works, like it works. And I mean I completely understand. Like people, I genuinely do not understand why people like the character of Anakin in the prequels.
Right.
Like it's never like when people tell me like my favorite character is Anakin Skywalker, I'm like, are you 13?
He's my third favorite.
I mean, it's hard for me because we know what happens to him. You know what I mean? So it's different. The prequels were different. Yeah. We know who he becomes, right? We know what happens. We know his story once the movies end. We don't know what happens with Rey. We don't know where she goes.
This comment is kind of not a good summarization, but it represents what a lot of people have kind of felt about Rey, which is she's a likable character with a certain charm, but I wish she had more failures and flaws. She's not what you would label a good hero's journey. I can because that was my issue, at least with her in the Rise of not the Rise of Skywalker, the Last Jedi, and I'm surprised we turned this into a fucking is Rey good or bad kind of a conversation.
Where's Goldman?
but like with her, it does have a feeling of like, okay, we have this character Luke Skywalker, who at this point we're supposed to believe like this guy knows anything and everything about the Force, and she's preaching to him about all the wrong things that he's doing and telling him how wrong he is, and like you just don't have that with Anakin. You don't really have that with Luke. I mean, Anakin gets upset with Obi-Wan, but like you can clearly tell he's wrong. And so with Rey, it really felt like, and this isn't a bad thing about her. If anything, this is a testament to her being a good person and a good character, or like having good character, not being a good character, is that she morally is right throughout the entire sequels. And so it feels like in terms of her morals and like what she has to think about doing, she never really has to course adjust. Like Luke had to learn after The Empire Strikes Back, you know, I want to save my friends and I want to save them more than I want to be a Jedi. Like that's a very important decision. Mm-hmm. Rey, I feel like didn't have to make that important decision that had any consequences on her, really. And that's where I felt like a little bit disgruntled with like the character arc of her, and that's why I feel like, at least when it comes to like doing more stories with the sequels, it's like, what can we really do with her character specifically? She can teach Finn and all of them the Jedi's ways and stuff, but it's kind of similar to what we had in The Last Jedi, where she's like, oh, Luke, I know you're a Jedi master, but you're wrong. You're just wrong. And
no, yeah, don't you think it's a little weird that she grows up on this planet where she literally probably had to lie, cheat, thieve to survive, and she just grows up as this perfectly altruistic, nice person to everybody? It doesn't jive, because I'm sure she had to do some grimy shit just to survive on that fucking planet.
Like every Jedi should, Lunga. I mean, I don't know. Anakin slaughtered a bunch of younglings and Tusken Raiders. He still became one with the Force at the end. Obi-Wan piped Sabine.
You know, even at the opening of The Force Awakens, she just seemed too. She didn't seem scarred by that upbringing.
I'll agree with you guys. I will agree with that. And that's the point I wanted to make with should this sequel show happen? Yeah. As much as I do like Rey, as much as I do like Finn, there's a lot of mistakes with them. As much as I do like Anakin in the prequels, George Lucas really messed up a lot of the writing with him. And this is coming from someone who loves the prequels. But then what do we get after the prequels? We got the Clone Wars show, which really helped flesh out the character of Anakin. Right. I know they're kind of different because Clone Wars is in the middle, whereas this would be post, but they still have a connection. So as much as I do simp on Rey and all that, I still love her character, and I did make that whole essay on her.
Let's not forget.
No, I'll say I genuinely love and relate to the character for many, many different ways. And Lungit, if we want to have a conversation about that, we definitely can.
It was kind of unfair doing this without Goldman here.
No, for real.
I'll admit.
It's the only time you could do it.
But I know. You guys got me in a corner. I'm literally in a corner on the screen. But no, with this sequel show, as much as I do think she's a great character, and I do really love her arc and stuff of her overcoming, I do think there's a lot of missed opportunities in terms of what a character needs to go through and how it needs to be portrayed on screen. And then I think they really messed up with that. And that has to do that all at the end of the day has to do with having different opinions and points of views from different directors. All right. We all know this. With Finn, they butchered him. Okay. Finn's awesome. John Boyega's great. He does a great job. We all love Finn. They really screwed up his character.
Yep.
Right. I will always say Rian Johnson, and I think we were having this argument somewhere in the chat over there. Force Awakens is pretty clear that he's got a Force connection. I mean, it's directly shown whenever Finn's kind of awakening, and then Snoke himself says the Force is awakening. This is before Rey even gets brought up, right? In terms of with the Force. And then, of course, Kylo Ren felt him on Jakku. We all know it was clearly set up by J.J. Abrams, right? And then Rian Johnson kind of went, in my opinion, kind of took a few steps back and made him a comedic character for the first entire third of the film, which I really, really was disappointed with. And I've got a lot of problems with that. The way he was portrayed in The Last Jedi until the very, very, very end just looked like a step backwards. So then J.J. Abrams comes back in and he's like, no. This guy's a Force user. This guy is very important. And with all the crap that's in Rise of Skywalker as is, you can't just, someone told me in the comments that it was a year gap. So they should have just had Finn be a Jedi if JJ wanted. And I'm like, no, that's not how. You can't just have someone be from point A to point B without explaining it or having a continuous show of it. So I think the biggest problem with that is Finn and the sequels for me is how Finn was made. And so with the sequel show, it would help tremendously.
Yeah. And I always viewed Finn. I know everyone wants him to be a Jedi and a Jedi Knight. And that's not what I saw for him. Still be Force sensitive. I saw him more. I thought that what they were heading towards, and it would have made a lot of sense, especially with the books and how they talked about the wills. I thought they were going towards a reinstitution of the priests, the Jedi priests, the kind of stuff we saw in Clone Wars or Rebels, and stuff like that. And even the Bendu who were like in the middle, I thought I see a reinstitution of the church and the Latter-day Jedis. I don't know, something like that, to where he would be a Force sensitive a bishop, helping teach people. Like
he's seen so much of both sides,
right?
Everything.
And like Lord Santeca wasn't. They say he wasn't Force sensitive, and I always felt he was, even though they flat out said he's not. But then Star Wars only knows because he's read the books. His ancestors.
Oh God, yeah. They don't even want to get into his fucking ancestors. They literally. They
created
use the Force.
Travel.
Yeah. They use the Force. This is what they do in the Chiss Ascendancy. What are they called? Well, they have Skywalkers, which are just children. But then, what are they called? Like travelers or like passengers? Like the ones Kilori, the Unballoon or whatever the fuck.
I remember just the Skywalkers. Which is what the girl was.
Yes, all the little girls, or like Force sensitive, just children. They use the Force in a very loose way, but basically they can see the future just by 5 seconds, and they use that in the hyperspace to avoid crashing in the shit. And so that's how they get around in what they call the chaos or the unknown regions. And so, Laura Santeca in his family, at least in the High Republic times, they are pretty much the inventors of hyperspace, and it is hinted at, and spoiler alert, if you haven't read the most recent High Republic book, The Rising Storm, and even the one before that, I think, you learn that his great ancestor is the one who works with the Nile, and she is like the person who is just fucking perfect at doing hyperspace travel. And like, it's literally,
I wouldn't say working. She was kind of non-consensual.
She I think it was, and then it got into a point where Marchion Ro was like, "No, I own you, motherfucker." But I think I think when it comes to like at least sequel trilogy stuff, at least sequel trilogy content post Rise of Skywalker, the real question is, out of the three, who do you want or need to see come back? Because I
Finn.
feel like out of all of it, it has to be Finn.
And
I feel like Ray being the main character of the sequel trilogy, and Papa memes and Goldman and a lot of other fans feeling like they got a very satisfying ending for her character, is kind of like, okay, we can't really do much more with her. People like me and Lunga who don't like her character, it's kind of beyond the point of redemption, because it's like I'm already not connected to her, so there's no stakes in me seeing her. And honestly, at this point, a lot of people are just going to cringe or just be uninterested if they see her come back. Finn, on the other hand, whether you like the sequels, you dislike the sequels, you'll love them, you hate them, if you like Finn or if you don't like Finn, he is the one with the most potential and the most interesting aspect between Poe and Rey and Finn, because Finn's the common guy. He's just the average Joe. Poe is a leader of the rebellion or the resistance. He was a great pilot and whatnot. He's Han Solo 2.0, and Han Solo's cool, but Han Solo's not that interesting. Finn is interesting. Finn
I
is
just thought about
fucking
this.
janitor.
Talking about these characters returning. Since the scuttlebutt was supposedly this Rogue Squadron thing was supposed to be after Rise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think this could have been an Oscar Isaac vehicle, that he could have been part of Rogue Squadron, and that could have been the way they were bringing him back?
I wouldn't have been surprised. And when Kathleen Kennedy in this interview specifically says stuff about like, we're they live on, we're having conversations that are going on with the creative team as well, and she doesn't want to forget those characters. I really do believe that Oscar Isaac will come back in some capacity, and I think the only way to make that work would be to do him in Rogue Squadron somehow, some way.
And
money. I mean, they'd have to fucking back up a truck with.
Here's
I
my
need
thing.
another house.
If they got Harrison Ford back twice, they'll get Oscar back, especially because he's playing Moon Knight. He's already in these.
So you have to sacrifice somebody to get Oscar Isaac back with that logic, though, because Harrison only came back because Carrie passed away. So, like, I mean, who? So
yeah, but he would probably be the only big name actor in that would command that kind of money in Rogue Squadron.
Yeah,
Rogue Squadron, for example.
I mean, who
are we going to kill?
Are we going to kill Daisy Ridley? Or are we going to kill John Boyega to get Oscar Isaac back? which one are you going to sacrifice?
I don't really want Poe as much anymore.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm like,
he's the bottom of the barrel out of the three that you want to come back.
I like Poe. I think
Rey's
he's a cool character.
She can use Force.
Yeah. I don't think, because as much I think you have to have Finn as the main character, but at the same time I don't think, depending on what Finn's story is, which apparent from what Rise of Skywalker and J.J. Abrams and the team at Lucasfilm purposefully set up, you can't continue Finn's story without continuing his story as a Force sensitive user, right? And so you can't, in my opinion, you can't have that without Rey. That doesn't mean Rey's going to be the main character of the story. I don't really want her to be the main character because we got her story. Her story's told. Finn's story has not been told, right? And so, but you can't have one without the other, in my opinion, based on what has been set up by Episode 9. You can't just have Finn, on his own.
You can start the series. Let's say it's 5 years after Rise, okay? And in those 5 years, he's been training with Daisy.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
And then she goes off to do something else, and now he's left there to continue what he's doing. So he's already had some preliminary training. You don't necessarily have to have. You mentioned.
That's a great point. I never thought of that.
I'm sure there's ways they could write it where they could, like, his training could literally be her sending him off.
If Daisy's already, if Daisy's already having talks with Kathy and.
Oh, we know already. It's a whole line of.
But
Lego
should
movies.
it is
that's why it's voice acting.
Come on, man. Come on. I swear, when that's gonna happen at Celebration, they're gonna bring up Daisy and Oscar and John, and they're gonna pop up a picture of Lego Ray. I'm like,
yeah,
good
and me now. Oh my gosh, I'd be so mad.
or Dave Filoni new animated series.
Could you imagine if they lowball the sequel series and they make it animated and not live action?
See, now you're making me worried because they're saying these sequel characters are to come back, and now you're getting me like, oh shoot, maybe this is.
They just come back to voice act. Like that's the way.
Well, they definitely wouldn't have Oscar Isaac to voice act. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they could. They'd be like, Oscar, we're going to give you $1 million an episode, and all you got to do is just record from your bedroom.
An episode, huh?
$1 million an episode for
all right
15-minute episodes.
Hey,
he's got like 5 lines in an episode. All right, here's $1 million.
I mean, that guy who played Sheldon in the Big Bang Theory, I think he was getting like $5 to $10 million an episode at that point. I mean, people make fucking
Well,
ridiculous.
I do believe with SAG there's a different pay scale for voice work and different pay scale for animated voice work as compared to live action. So it's a different scale, I think.
Oscar Isaac's gonna get 50 houses with a Moon Knight.
Yeah,
that series looks really good, by the way. I was like impressed. I mean, I love Oscar Isaac to begin with, and it was like, wow.
So I guess for all of us, the character we want to see back the most is Finn. Even you, Palpamemes, more than Rey.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I like Rey because I like her story and her character arc, not because of what could potentially become with her. As much as I do think there's a lot more potential, but Finn is something that has 1,000 times more potential than Rey.
So do you think there's something to get from continuing Rey's story at all, or do you think that
for
is
sure.
kind of done?
I think you can go through a really good arc and when everything, but I think the best arc you could do is with Finn. You know, her trying to train Finn, and she just fails miserably. I don't see her as a good teacher. I don't think she's going to do well at that, and that's I think would be your interesting trope. Is okay. Well, we need to reach out to someone because you feel the Force. I don't know how it works, but you can feel the Force. You feel there's more beings and you much wiser beings in this galaxy, and it'd be a really cool adventure story where they have to go find. And that
Rey seems to me the type of character, especially with the way they ended her, giving her yellow lightsaber. She seems the kind that's like the Jedi historian. She's going to be the one that's going to go out in the galaxy looking for relics, looking for holocrons, looking for things.
That's
scavenging.
what Luke did, Longa. Like, this is where I get annoyed. Where it's like,
I know.
Rey wasn't even a good fucking apprentice. She wouldn't shut the fuck up, and she bitched every second of the way.
If you're starting a school, you have to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, look at Ahsoka.
How about this? How about
this?
She trains Finn, right?
She teaches Finn, and Finn teaches everyone else.
Right, and she goes and finds the stuff to bring back to the school.
I like for her to be like a real mystical aspect of the Force. You know, she's a dyad. She's got like this power with the past Jedi and stuff. She's got a really cool story. What
happens with the dyad after he fucking dies, though?
I don't care. He's dead. I'm just kidding.
Well,
that is another thing I'd like to see.
The world between worlds is bringing him back. Probably.
No, you stop it. I think there's some. That's another thing. I think it'd be really cool to see her try and connect with a Force ghost Ben. You know what's going on because. We didn't see him as a Force ghost at the end.
No. You can't.
That'd be her own thing. I want this to be about
just
Ben.
like the fucking original trilogy, though. It's just like his grandpa.
Can see him as a Force ghost, table flipping. Oh,
yeah. Like,
I'm sorry.
At what point? At what point are these characters irredeemable? Like who has to be killed? Like Anakin and Kylo, both of them.
Oh, you're talking about that
genocide. Like, are you telling me at the end of fucking Rise of Skywalker, if Palpatine accepted Jesus Christ into his heart, he would have been redeemed as like a fucking?
It would have been funny as hell, wouldn't it? It would have subverted your expectations.
And I would have murdered Ryan Shots. I would have shown up to his house and be like, "Damn it, Ryan, why?"
I know you're just joking. It's not a fair. It's not a fair comparison. Palpatine represents the devil and the embodiment of evil, right? Whereas Kylo, from the get-go, they showed him that, oh my gosh, he's trying so hard to just break that wound in his heart. It's never going away. You know, even like sequel haters, like they still love Kylo Ren. They did a really good job with his arc and stuff.
Oh yeah, fucking love.
I actually do gotta go, guys. I gotta bring this beast to Geek Squad.
Yeah, help you.
Going.
All right, that's all the time we have for here, Chatooine. Thank you guys for tuning in for this pretty much nonstop sequel debate, which is extremely fun. It's good to have these conversations still. Till next time, make sure you guys like and comment on today's stream video. Check us out on the podcast. Check out Lunga and Palpamemes and Goldman's channel. Links in the description below, as well as books if you want 15% off. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
What?